Well, hello everyone. Thanks for tuning in to KT Garage. In this video, I'm going to go over the basics of stereo system, your car stereo system. And if you ever want to make an upgrade to your system, what are you looking for? What kind of things that you can do with the system? And it's really, there's multiple things that you can do to your stereo system. Depends on what you want, what you're looking for, what kind of budget that you're working with. I'm going to go through all of that with you. We'll lay out all different options that's available, and just so you have an idea of what you want to do, whether you want to take it to the stereo shop or is something that you can do yourself and save yourself actually hundreds or even thousands of dollars if you just have some really basic understanding of how a car stereo system works. And in this video, I'm going to give you just that. I have 3 different projects that I worked on recently. I'm going to share all 3 projects with you. And these 3 projects has totally different upgrades. It goes from real basic to intermediate to something that's really crazy. Like what you see back here, I'm about to put forward this L7 into an older Oldsmobile. I can share that project with you as well. It's a little more complicated, but it's not too bad if you have a basic understanding of how the system works and what you're looking for. How do you set up the system? All right, so let's dive right into it. What you really need to decide on is what is your end goal? What are you trying to accomplish? So, are you going after better sound quality and more bass, or do you just want to add more bass? Going with sound quality and bass is not a budget-friendly option. It's going to cost you quite a bit of money. You're going to need a little bit more skills to be able to get that accomplished. Adding more bass option is a lot more friendly and is simple setup. You could spend as little as I say about $200-300 to get this done and to get a quite nice bass added to your system. Now, the next question you want to ask yourself: how much you want to spend? For better sound quality and bass, it's going to cost you, like I said, you need to upgrade the head unit. You need to upgrade all your internal speakers. Then you have to add an amplifier and a subwoofer. And for these speakers, you might have to add an amplifier as well. We're going to go through all of that in depth. Now, for the more bass option only, you can use your existing head unit, leave that alone, don't even touch it. Leave all your speakers alone, and all you need to do is add an amplifier and a subwoofer. Very, very simple option. We're going to go through this in detail as well. So let's start out with something a little more simple on the better sound quality. Now, if you want something sounds a little bit better, you have a really bad stereo system, it's not upgraded with the factory, you can add something like this. This Pioneer unit, I actually did an upgrade on one of the vehicles I'm going to show you in a minute. All I did was replace the head unit with this Apple Play or CarPlay. In order to do that, you need to have some kind of wiring interface. PAC makes really good interface, and that's super simple. Like you see in this picture, is plug and play. So basically, you just use this interface to plug this Pioneer unit directly into your vehicle, and you can go through Crutchfield to do that. They'll sell you the proper wiring interface for your specific vehicle. Now, let's ask yourself if you really want to upgrade the speakers in your car. I'm talking about mid-range and high speakers, the ones that inside your car. Is your sound system already sound nice enough for you, or you want more clarity? Yeah, you can do those upgrades as well. There's plenty of brands out there you can look into, um, and you can get those replaced. Best place to go is to Crestfield. You type in your vehicle information, and that will give you all information you need, how many speakers you have, what kind of system you have that's available with that factory unit, and that will give you recommendations on what you can buy. And then if you actually buy your speaker from Crestfield, they give you instruction on how to replace it with full manuals and photos and things like that. So it's very helpful. Now we're gonna take a little break, and I'm gonna show you the Jeep that I did some upgrade for my daughter. So the first application I want to show you is real quick is my daughter's Jeep. This is a 2017 Wrangler. It does have an upgraded stereo system already. It's got a big enough subwoofer to generate good enough bass for her. Now what she really wanted an upgrade on is the head unit. Because this did not come with Apple Play, and she wanted the CarPlay. So I went ahead and ordered the Pioneer unit that we just discussed, and all I really did was just take this piece out and pull the old unit, replace with this one. You need to buy this adapter kit for the Jeep or whatever application that you're using. Use that wire interface. PAC makes really good ones, so just go to Crestfield and get one of those for your car. Do your wiring, and all that work is being done right here at the front of the car. And I think it took me like maybe 2 hours at most to get this thing in and get it working. So not too bad. This is the simplest thing that you can do to your stereo system. Give it a real nice upgrade, so you can get navigation, things like that, on your head unit. Okay, so let's keep going. The next question you want to ask yourself is, do you want to amplify the mids and highs speakers? Let's say if you are not happy with the volume level and you want it louder, more clear, you can add an amplifier. Now this is more involved because you're gonna have to add an amplifier in somewhere in the back of your car. So first thing you need to do is run a constant power to that amp, and it's going to be quite difficult because you got to run all the way from the front of the car. Now I'm assuming that you already have a upgraded head unit or an aftermarket head unit. Every unit is going to have an RCA output for your front speakers, rear speakers, and your subwoofer. So you run those two output RCA cable into your amp part input. There's a remote turn on that you can hook up your amp with to turn the amp on when the head unit is on. And then you just gonna wire from the amp to the individual speakers. So basically, you getting rid of your factory setup altogether and come up with your own wiring. It's gonna take a while to get that done. For this, I recommend to go with a Kicker 46CX A360.4. 0.4 meant 4 channels, and so that will give you enough for the front and the rear, left and right. What else did I miss? Grounding. So you're just gonna ground this amp where it's at. Just find some metal to ground it to. So that's how you can amplify your speakers. Now, with that set up already, and you also wanted the bass. So you want sound quality, nice and loud, clear. Now you want bass. So in order to do that, you're gonna add an extra amp for the subwoofer. It's not too bad since you already got the other amplifier set up. This is going to be your second amplifier. So you're just going to share the same power that's coming from the other amp. Just make sure you get a big enough wire to handle both amps. And each manufacturer will give you that information when you purchase the amp. You're gonna have to pick out a subwoofer. So in this example, I like to use kickers because the price are pretty reasonable, and they're reliable, and I never had any problem with them. This sounds real good too. So L7R is what I recommend. You can go with 10, 12, or 15. I recommend 12. It sounds real good. Market price around $200. For a CX400 amp, it's also about $200. So you're looking at $400 for this setup. This amp is a Class D, which is specific for driving subs. So that's the correct amp for what you're looking for. So now let's go to something that a lot easier to deal with. Um, let's say that I don't want to deal with any of the amplifying the speakers. I don't want to get any new speakers. I don't want to get any head unit. All I want to do is just add more bass. And I do have an example to show you. The application is on my 2019 Super Duty Ford. And the truck came with a really nice upgraded stereo system. It does have a subwoofer, but the woofer is just not enough for me. The bass is really bad. So I went ahead and removed the subwoofer that they provided, and I came up with my own subwoofer and amplifier. I'm gonna show you that in a minute. But basically, this setup is really simple, and but you guys that are handy with working on cars, you should be able to get this done fairly easy. Um, all you really need is, like I say, an amplifier, a subwoofer, which we talked about that on the past slide. What you're gonna need is a line out converter. Um, Real simple. You just need to find a wire, the speaker wire that's coming to the back speaker, left or right doesn't matter. Just pick one of them, and you splice off from that, and you connect it to uh, this device that you can also get from Kicker. Um, it's called the line output converter, for $30. Um, it gives you the low RCA, the low level RCA that you can hook up to your amp as part of your signal. And then all you need to do is just add power to it, just like what we talked about before, and then hook it up to your subwoofer, and it's done. So now let's take a minute and go and look at my truck. I can show you that real quick before we moving on. So here's the 2019 F-250 that I decided to make an upgrade to the subwoofer only. I kept basically everything else. So you can see that the car comes with an upgraded system already. This is the amplifier for the mids and highs. So I just left that alone, left all the speakers alone, took out the subwoofer used to be here, and replaced with the amplifier that's sitting right here. Connection is like super simple. You can see that a lot of these we already talked about. The positive cable that run from the front of the car, the negative wire that gets grounded. I simply ground it back there. You can see right there. That's where I grounded right to the body of the car, it gets really good grounding. Um, Remote control. These are the speaker output. It goes into a single mono mode, just a plus and a minus coming out to the subwoofer. I'll show you the subwoofer in a minute. What I wanted to show you is the this kicker signal converter that I discussed earlier. You can see that it's let's see here. So yeah, it's need a ground. It needs to be grounded, and then one of these wire I connected to one of the high output coming from the rear speaker. So that's like super simple. And then you can see the output. These are the ICA output that goes into here. And I also talked about the remote turn on, which is this right here, and you can see that it's coming from this signal converter. So this signal converter actually turns the amps on when the stereo is on, so which is really nice. Yeah, so that's the setup back there. Now let's take a look at the speaker box. So I decided to build my own because nothing else out there that really what I was looking for, as far as like storage capacity and the ability to get a larger speaker on there, subwoofer on there. So all of this is storage, and then on this side you can see that's the 10-inch JL audio that I put in. Reason I chose JL audio is they have this really nice speaker that has the reduced height on it. You can see that I don't have a whole lot of height to go to play with because of the chair. So this allow me to mount the speaker, and it has clearance on the bottom. Now Kicker does have a speaker like that, but it's not as short as this one. This is the shortest one that I can find out of most of the manufacturers. So I'm extremely happy with it. JL Audio makes really nice subwoofers. This is great. Really nice bass. So I'm very happy with this installation. All right, guys. So let's continue to look deeper into the amplifier and subwoofer selections, and we'll talk about how they interact with one another. So there are many brands to pick from. Like I said before, Kicker seems to give you the best bang for the buck. But you can pick other brands, whatever you like to use. Do research on them and pick what you want. They all having very similar features, and the way it hooks up is all the same. Um, so look for the IMS power ratings. When they say max power, don't look at that. Those are max power that you're never going to achieve without distorting your sounds. So IMS is meant root mean square, and that's the average values that you're able to consume. So um, so now the power ratings is based on how you set up your subwoofer. And we can talk about that on the next slide. So if you set it up at 4 ohms impedance, you get 150 watts IMS. Now, if you set up for 2 ohms, you get 300. You get it 1 ohm. Set it up at 1 ohm, you get 400 watts IMS. So naturally, you're gonna want to set it up as the lowest impedance that is allowed by your manufacturer to get your maximum power. They call this minimum number as stable. So when they say it's a 1 ohm stable, that means that you can go all the way down to 1 ohm. Do not go below that because you're gonna blow something up. So that's it for amplifier Now, in the typical amplifier, this one's a kicker unit. You're gonna see an input and an output for RCA. This is a signal. You're only gonna use the input. Output means that it's coming out to another amplifier. You want to run another one. Um, uh, the uh, uh, the input level yours going to be low, so it's just we want to set up as a low because you're running low frequency bass. Gain, you can play with that. It's just adjusting the volume of the bass. Over here, crossover frequency, that means it's the cutoff frequency that you don't want to go over, because this is a amplifier that's providing bass, so you're gonna want to cut off like all the high frequency, uh, and this will let you do that. So I normally set mine around 40 hertz, but it all depends on the music you're listening to. You can set it up higher if you want. And yeah, that's it. It's really simple. I couldn't quite read this, but I believe this is the remote control that you can hook a wire. You can buy this separately to a control knob sitting in the front, and you can change the gain. Uh, Same thing as what this button does, but it does it remotely. Uh, Now, on the other side, the amp is really simple. It's got the constant power coming from the battery. It's got the negative power that you ground where you're at, and then the control, the remote control, 12 volt, that uh, that either coming from the amplifier, sorry, either coming from the head unit, or the line out converter that we discussed earlier. So I believe I have this line out converter described on the last slide I'm going to show you as well. So yeah, just wait for this towards the end of the presentation. Um, Speaker wise, um, there's two different terminals. You're hooking up in a bridge mode, so you only use one terminal. So you're gonna use only a plus and a minus. And the wiring diagram is gonna show you how to hook this up in mono mode to get to just the one channel that coming out to your subwoofer, because you're gonna come down to a plus and a minus. That's it. Um, so that's for amplifier. Let's talk about subwoofer, because the way that you select the subwoofer is going to affect the amplifier. Um, Now, there's many brands to pick from again, uh, and use Kicker. I use Kicker for most of the applications. I use JL Audio once in a while on a higher end install. Bradford Fosgate used to be good, but they're not doing so well these days, and they're a lot more expensive than kickers. So I would stick with kicker if I were you for typical installation. Um, so in this example, I'm using a 12-inch 2 ohms dual voice coil. Pay attention to this, guys. When I say dual voice coil, it's the equivalent of having two subwoofers. So you have two voice coil in your single sub, and it has two pluses and two minuses, and that allow you to hook up either in parallel or in series, and that will give you different impedance, or the ohms value that we talked about earlier. Um, and power rating wise, you can look at the power ratings. This particular one came from Kicker, and it will give you a range where it can operate. And you can see that when you run a vented configuration, you can run the power a little bit lower, and it still provide real good solid bass. Steel enclosure, you gotta hit it in a smaller window, but it's real nice and tight. I have a slide on this that we can talk about later. Um, we talk about parallel and series hookup. So let's take a look at that before we move on. Um, I have this really simple diagram that to show you how the hookup is.
So let's say if you have two speakers, or if you have a single speaker with dual voice coil, you can have two pluses, two minuses. So you're going to want to tie the two positive and two negatives together into a single positive and single negative. So by the time you get to these configuration, um, you get a parallel hookup. And parallel hookup, whatever the impedance is for each one of these, it's going to reduce in half. So whatever it is, let's say you have a 4 ohms dual voice coil, you hook in parallel, you can get 2 ohms. Now in series, it's just the opposite. So you hook the positive and negative together on the terminal, and then you run straight from the other side out to your amplifier. So in this configuration, you run in series, and in series you multiply by 2. So if this is a 4 ohms uh, dual voice coil, or 4 ohms two speakers, and you run it in series, you multiply by 2. So if it's 4, it will be 8 ohms by the time you hook it up to the amplifier. It's that simple. And it doesn't have to be 2. You could do 3, 4, 10, and it does the same way. You just divide or multiply by 2, uh, and you be fine. Um, well, actually, let me take that back. You don't divide by 2. It goes by the number of if you have 3, you have to divide by 3 or multiply by 3. Um, So let's move on to uh, something that make a little more sense to you, since we're looking at an actual speaker. So on this particular configuration, on the single woofer wiring, you can see that they tie the two positive together and the two negative together. And if you have a 2 ohm voice coil, 1 ohm is getting to your amplifier. Real easy. Now you put them in series, you can see that they're tying the positive and negative together here and run straight to the amplifier. If you have a 2 ohms dual voice coil, you get 4 ohms, so you multiply by 2. Um, Now, if you have a 4 ohms, it's the same thing as this one, but you have twice the ohms to begin with. So you divide it by 2. By the time you get here in parallel, you multiply by 2 to get to here. And keep in mind that if you have 3, 4, 5 speakers, just multiply or divide by the number of speakers you have. Um, Now, the same story goes here when you have a dual voice coil, but you want to hook up 2 of them. So in this example, they hook up in series first. So if you have a 4 ohm dual voice coil, you hook them up in series, you get 8 ohms. You have 2 of these 8 ohms, and you hook them up in parallel, you get 4 ohms. On this side, they took a different route, and they also get the 4 ohms. They went parallel first, so parallel cuts it down to 2. You have 2 of these, but you hook 2 of these in series, and then you get back to 4. So you can see that they took 2 different routes, and they arrived at the same impedance by the time you get the amplifier. And this can be set up at like a lot of different combinations. Depends on how you want to hook it up. Another thing you can do is just like if this is in series and this is in series and you hook these up in series, it's going to be a total different thing, right? So if you have 8 ohms and you hook them up in series, you get 16 ohms. In parallel, you get 4. So yeah, you can play around with these to get to whatever you want. Now, keep in mind that you're gonna want to hit the by the time you get to this point to the amp, you want to hit the stable value. Most of the amp manufacturers 1 ohm, so try to hit the 1 ohm. Don't hit below that because you're gonna burn it up. Um, as for power source, you can go to Amazon or eBay to buy these, or you can go to like a high-end website store. I know Stinger make really nice wires. You can buy it straight from Kicker. Kicker sell really good stuff. Uh, I bought mine from Amazon just because it's a lot cheaper. Um, so anyway, so you're gonna want to buy a kit, and that's include power cables, RCA cable, fuse, speaker wire, and all that good stuff comes in a kit for you, so you don't have to go and buy them separately. Um, run power and remote turn on cable on one side of the car. That's really important. So you do not want to run the RCA signal cable alongside with your power cable because the noise is going to come from the power cable to your RCA signal, and it's going to produce a real high pitch whining sound. And as your car accelerate, the alternator is going to put out a different frequency on those noise, and it's very annoying. So you make sure you don't do that. Um, make sure you put the fuse closer to the battery. Something gone wrong, it's gonna blow the fuse instead of your system or set of fire. Um, so that's it on power. Now you're gonna need a subwoofer box, of course. So it comes in sealed or ported. You can have it either way. Now, seal enclosure takes less space. It's gonna hit tighter, more accurate, but it does need more power. So just keep that in mind. Ported enclosure, it takes more space. I think it takes like 1.5 to 2 uh, times the cubic feet that you need. So just if you have the space, run the ported ones, and you don't need as much power. Um, so yeah, so ported is going to be louder, not accurate. So you feel like your bass is a little bit loose, um, and it does require less power, so which is a good thing. If you don't have a powerful amplifier, you want to go with this setup. For me, I always set up as sealed because I like my bass to be tight and accurate. Just feed it more power, and you'll be good. Um, now, you also can choose to custom build your own. The example here, I'm going to show you this car in a little bit. Um, I built my own enclosure uh, just because it's a lot more efficient to build your own to fit the custom space that you have. So you can see I got these four 12-inch kickers, L7s enclosure sitting here, and I still have like a ton of trunk space left. If you try to buy these and stuff them in, it's going to be disorganized and doesn't look as nice. But guess what? If you don't care about it, you shut the trunk and it makes no difference. So it depends on what you want. And in this case, I just decided to build my own because I have a little bit of time. So on this wiring diagram, we're going to go into details on how to set up this simple system. Now, keep in mind that this is the simple system that we discussed earlier, that all you want to do is to add more bass to your system and nothing else. And it's not going to get any simpler than this. This is very simple. So first thing you need to go get is one of these line out converter. This is really cool technology. This is quite new. When I was doing car stereo on my teenager years, this wasn't available, but now they have this piece. It's really cool. Um, it's it let you tap into either your right, your rear, right or left. So you just pick a speaker, just one single speaker in the back because it's closer to your amplifier. You splice that, and this will have instruction on the input where the two wires go. So after you input that signal, it's going to give you two things. Um, it's going to give you an RCA output to go to your amp. This is a low level output. That's what you need for your amp as part of the signal. Now, the cool thing that I mentioned that wasn't available when I was a teenager is this remote turn on output. Um, this also give you a 12-volt constant signal. Sorry, it's not constant, but it's when the signal goes on, it stays on. So whenever you turn your stereo on, the speaker wire sends it, and then this unit produce a 12-volt that turns your amp on. So when your stereo gets turned on, this turn on. Now back in my days, I have to run it from the head unit. That's the only way. Now if my head unit doesn't have it, and then I'm gonna tap into the ACC cable, which is it give you the voltage whenever you turn the car on. So this remote hookup, all it's looking for is a 12-volt signal to turn the amp on. But this really cool device will give you that as well. So it takes care of the signal and the remote turn on. And all you really have left is to hook up the power from the front of the car to the back. You ground the amp where it's at. Now I did have a note up here saying that grounding is very critical. You want it to ground properly, and a lot of problem. Like if you run into a problem if it's not working right, it's clipping or it turns on and off. Yeah, those weird things. Check the ground. It normally solve the problem. So after you do that, you hook up the wire to your subwoofer. Now remember, you could have 10 of these, but at the end, when you're done with hooking up in series and parallel, you're down to a plus and a minus, and it goes into a mono mode that we talked about on the amplifier to get yourself a bridge configuration to get the power that you need, power subs. So um, that's it, guys. I think we covered just about everything. Uh, Now let's go and check out my Oldsmobile. This is the one that I recently worked on. Um, just got to finish.
Okay, so here's the 71 Oldsmobile project I wanted to show you. So this, like I said, it has 4 kickers, L7. I built a custom box. Really simple. It's a sealed enclosure. They all individually hooked up in series, and then each one of them were hooked up in parallel to get to this amp. And by the time it gets here, it's at a 2 ohms stable, which is great. It's a 2 ohm setup. This amp is a 1 ohm stable, so it's perfectly safe to run like that. So here are the power. You can see these are 0 gauge, plus, minus, remote turn on. And then these are the 2 terminals for the speaker hookup. So by the time it gets here, it's only get a plus and a minus in the bridge configuration. So you get all your power in a mono mode. Real simple setup. And then over here, these are signal RCA signals that are coming from the head unit. And you can see that I hit all my wires. It's just like it's under there to make the installation nice and clean. And then there's the fuse. It's a 250 amps fuse sitting in there. I decided not to put the battery back here just because it's already heavy. So I'm running a single yellow battery, yellow top battery right now, but I might put in another one. We'll see how it goes. But here's the interior. Like I said, this is an older car, so I do a 2 single DIN So one side is the head unit. The other side is the signal processor, and then while I was at it, I add a couple of more gauges since this doesn't have oil pressure and water temperature and all that good stuff. Yeah, I custom built this piece right here out of metal. Make it look nice and neat. Look like it belongs there. This setup has only 2 front speaker because I'm going after the sound pressure level, the SPL instead of sound quality. So there's a 6.5 sitting there on a under the kick panel. Here's another one on the driver's side. These you can buy them with the speaker, the kick panel with the speaker. I picked it up for like $80 for both sides. Great deal. So let's walk to the front a little bit. Oh yeah, so that's a Hellcat motor going through my 73 Challenger. It's another project that you guys probably should follow through. So here's the front. That's the first single. The yellow top battery, Optima. It's brand new. I just picked this up. You can see I'm still charging it. It's not. It's only up to 93%. I will crank this up for you when it gets to 100%. You can see here everything is 0 gauge. 0 gauge positive, goes all the way out back. There's a circuit breaker here. And then you see the negative also gets a 0 gauge that comes down to the frame. And then the amplifier actually also have a 0 gauge that hooked up to the frame in the back of the car. So all the grounding is taken care of. There's a cutoff ground here. When I don't use the car, I normally just turn that off, so it's isolate all the electricity in the vehicle. So yeah, so that's the Oldsmobile project is completed. I'm gonna wait till that battery fully charged, and then we'll crank it up for you guys. Alright guys, thanks to YouTube copyrights protection on the music, this is all I can play for you, but you're gonna be able to hear quite a bit of bass. Probably you can see the car shaking. Alright, let's crank them up. That's about less than half of the volume that I can crank up. I probably shouldn't do that. The wife probably gonna come out and start yelling at me again for having up too loud. So, but you can see it's producing real nice deep bass. And if you look at a video just like maybe 30 seconds ago, you can see like the rust starting to fall down on top of the speaker or the speaker box. I figured there's probably some rust inside that I've never seen, so that's kind of interesting to see it start falling off. More restoration to do, I guess. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope it was helpful for you. Please leave in the comments if you have any questions on anything. Appreciate you guys tuning into KT Garage. If you like the content, please subscribe. Thank you.